Right, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joseph Miranda, broker and owner, Miranda Executive Realty, here for our latest installment of Ask the Broker. This is the elite high-level training that really real estate agents pay a lot of money to learn this stuff. Some of it sounds basic, and yeah, maybe it is, but it's just like reading a map. I mean, you might look at a map and know what the different things are. But until you know what direction to take, that map may not be very helpful. So this is going to be your roadmap to success in real estate. Before we jump too quickly into this, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping here. Number one is, as always, our shameless plug, because who would we be if we did not shamelessly plug ourselves? If you're an agent at another real estate office, whether you're watching this recording later on, or you're live here, if you want to learn more about our company and how we can help you take your business to the next level, please feel free to scan the QR code, and we'd love to meet with you and see if there's room to work together. If you're an agent in this office, please feel free to share the QR code so you can get some revenue share in our rewards program. Quick reminder, as we go through this training, I am not an attorney, I am not a doctor, I am not a lawyer, I am not an accountant. In the case of this, I am not a statistician. Right, I am merely a real estate broker who's been doing this about as long as I can remember. I think for most of my adult life, I've been doing something in real estate. So what I do here is I give you my opinions. I give you what I believe to be the best practices. I give you, my ideas, and it's up to you to disseminate it, seek out the proper counsel or, the proper profession to make sure that you're doing everything, as we say, legal, ethical, and moral. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Irene will put a quick message in the chat box so you can find it. If you can't find it, my advice to you would be just keep looking. If you want to raise your hand, you can go ahead and raise your hand like this. There's my hand. And then I will finish my thought, and you can ask the question as we go along. And the third and final option, if you want to just write it down or try to remember it at the end, we'll come back and we will do questions and answers then. And I will even challenge you to tell me what I forgot. So if I'm speaking about something or in this topic, if I overlooked a detail that you believe should have been covered as well, or something, a helpful tip, welcome to share it at the end. We welcome all input. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's training, Real Estate Market Mastery, so you don't get left behind. Right? What are we talking about, right? Well, really, market mastery would be what? It would mean that you think like a market expert, right? You behave like a market expert. And what does a market expert know? A market expert knows what's happening in the market, right? And, a lot of people claim to be market experts. If you look on social media, there's market experts everywhere, right? What I would tell you is you should trust these experts, and you should also verify what they've told you, because interesting fact is 90% of statistics are actually made up on the spot, including that statistic. I don't think that's true. I don't know how many statistics are made up on the spot, but I'm sure a lot of people in this room right here are guilty of giving an expert opinion or giving a statistic that is maybe outdated, or just could be actually just completely untrue altogether. Maybe you went to a statistics class, or went to one of the the office or the board, and they told you the statistics for fourth quarter of 2025, and you're still talking about those statistics. Right? Well, those are old, right? How's the market today? It's not the same way that it was 6 months ago. In fact, if you look at statistics and you study statistics, what you know is that new statistics in the state of Florida for the real estate market come out every single month. And in some cases, they will break it down by the week. You can look at it quarterly. You can look at it however you want to look at it. So I say all of this to tell you this: knowledge really is power. Being the person with the most recent set of statistics for your market area, being able to recite the statistics in your area confidently and affirmatively, and knowing that these are the actual statistics, being able to cite your source. Where did I find these statistics? Very powerful. Very, very powerful, right? What is the first thing that most people ask you after you tell them what you do, right? How's the market? What do you normally say? The market's good. But why is it good? Right? Are you a buyer? Would the same market that's good for a seller be good for a buyer? Conflicting interests, right? One wants to sell at the highest price, one wants to buy at the lowest price, right? So I say all this to tell you, are you going to be a salesperson, or are you going to be a trusted advisor? Are you going to be the person that knows the facts and knows the statistics and comes into not only that conversation with your customer, but come into that conversation with the agent when you're negotiating? Imagine if before you write an offer, you do your job, you send the comps, you go over price per square foot, differences, this, that, and the other thing, but you also go into a hyper local statistics search and look at what the sales in that zip code look like, what the sales in that city looks like, what the sales for that type of property, whether it's single family, condo, townhouse, whatever it might be. What if you went back and you looked at those statistics? Because those statistics, once you come up with, okay, yeah, here's your CMA, your comparative market analysis. Here's where we think your price should be, right? But what if you looked at and you said, okay, this number, this many days on market, this price, this sales price compared to this list price. Does that give you an edge when negotiating? I think it does, right? I think it does. So again, going back to the previous slide, knowledge is power, and it's not that much work. It's not that much work. It's just a matter of knowing what you need to know, right? So first thing, what do you need to know? Price follows demand. Price, when you're talking about supply and demand, price follows demand. 10 buyers, one house. There's a lot of demand for that one house, wouldn't you think? Right? This one house has 10 people looking at it, wanting to send an offer. You got multiple offers. Yeah, that price is likely to go up, right? One buyer, 10 houses, right? You've got high supply with a low amount of people looking to purchase that house. Irene, can you mute that number, please? So, so that's really going to be the difference there between a seller's market and a buyer's market. But always thinking, right? Supply, demand, price follows demand. It does not follow supply. Now, as supply fluctuates, fluctuate with it. Those 10 houses, right? They'll sooner or later, that inventory is going to come down. Or buyers, right? You end up kind of in one of these situations right here, right? But understanding how many months of inventory of homes are on the market, that give you an edge when negotiating? I hope so, right? I hope so. So what do we need to do? We need to understand the market. And the market, you need to understand what you're looking at when you're looking at statistics. Right? And is this statistic necessarily weighed in favor for your buyer or for the opposing side's seller? Or is it your seller and the opposing side's buyer? Right? These are things that you need to look at and you will need to understand. And normally when you look at statistics, right, it's a lot of things there. And you have to kind of figure out, well, where should my eye be pulled to, right? And because statistics are just that, it's just numbers, it's just facts. It doesn't tell you how to interpret the data for your specific situation, right? So, closed sales. Well, a lot of closed sales, sure, yeah, that's probably good. That's going to tell you that, yeah, homes are moving, right? So that's good for a seller. Maybe not good for a buyer. Right? Would a buyer doesn't necessarily want to see a lot of homes selling because that means homes are sitting on the market. Right? So when somebody says, how's the market? Well, are you a buyer or are you a seller? Because it depends. It can't be both ways. Not going to be both ways, right? Closed sales is good for one, but if it's good for one, opposing interests, probably not going to be good for the other, right? Cash sales, right? Median sales price. That's an important one to know. You should pretty much almost definitely know what the median sales price on a property is, right? Whether it's the county, if you're farming an area, you definitely should know these things, right? No question, no doubt, right? You should know the difference between median and average because they're not the same thing. But by knowing both, it gives you more facts and more data to work with because you're still dealing with the middle number, right? You're still dealing with the number of this, this, and this. But the equation that gets you to that middle number, tell you when I'm doing a CMA, in my median price, and I look at price per square foot, I don't look at the full price, but when I'm doing a CMA and I'm looking at price per square foot, in my median price per square foot, in my average price per square foot are similar or are close numbers, I'm very confident in my math. I'm very confident in my math. If they're far apart, if your median and your average is far apart, there might be an anomaly somewhere in there and you need to find that, right? You have to figure out why are my median and why is my average sales price not similar, right? What's going on here, right? Dollar volume, probably kind of important. Median percentage of original list price, right? So you really, if you're a seller, you want that to be a higher number. If you're a buyer, if you're in that area, if you're looking at your area, then yeah, it's probably better. That the prices are kind of more spread apart, that there's more room for you to negotiate, right? The higher that number for the buyer, the better, right? What about time on market, right? What does that tell you, right? Homes are selling fast, homes are selling slow, like whatever it is, right? Time to sale, pending sales, new listings, pending inventory, active inventory, month supply of inventory. This all tells you this is your supply versus demand, right? This is literally your supply versus demand. And these are the things that as a real estate agent, if we're going to understand the market, we've got to understand these numbers, right? Why? Because is today's market, is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? How do you even know, right? How do you look at these numbers and figure it out? Well, buyer's market versus seller's market comes all the way down to that very last row here, month supply of inventory. That's it. And it might be a buyer's market in Miami and a seller's market in Broward or vice versa, right? It might be a buyer's market in 33304 and a seller's market in 33068, right? Because real estate, as we know, is hyper local. So you're looking at months supply of inventory, right? So what's a seller's market? How many months of inventory would you have to have in order to say that it's a seller's market? 4 months or less. To me, it's really 3 months or less, right? In my head, 3 months or less is a seller's market. The statistic people say it's 4 months or less. Balanced market, right? 6 months. My head, right? 4 to 5.5, right? Transitioning, then you hit the balanced market, right? Balanced meaning that, basically, you've got 100 houses on the market, 100 buyers over a certain amount of time. One house sells, new one comes on. One house sells, new one comes on. In simplistic terms, right? It's not really a buyer's market. It's not really a seller's market. It's a balanced market. You always have to hit the balanced market, right? If there's a lot of sales and sales are high and then sales begin to decline, it doesn't automatically become a buyer's market. You've got to hit that balanced market first. So know the difference. Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? Are we in a balanced market? And again, it's hyper local. I can't say that enough. You can't take the 3 counties, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami, right? You couldn't take Port St. Lucie and take one county and that's just canvases all of the counties, right? You can only do one county at a time. You could do one city. I really think if you really want to nerd out and you really want to get these numbers right, you've got to take it by the zip code. It's got to go by the zip code, the area that you're in. Now, the city helps, right? If the zip code and the city and the county and the state, they all match, then you know, okay, well, this is very strong data that shows, right? This is kind of like prevalent throughout. Makes your job a lot easier. If they're all off, you know, your zip code you're working in is showing a buyer's market, but you know, the 3 zip codes around it are showing a seller's market, you have to take that into consideration because again, there might be an anomaly. And maybe you can find the anomaly, maybe you can't find the anomaly. It's how much time do you want to spend on it? Me, I have a low attention span. I don't want to spend that much time on it. I want to look at numbers. I want to put that all part of my calculation. I want to move on, right? But I'm going to at least look at the numbers. I'm going to at least have some semblance of an idea of what these numbers are, right? And if you look at the bottom here, I should have pointed this out in the beginning. We're giving you our source. Right at the bottom of each of these is your source, Florida Realtors, monthly housing market statistics. Right? If you don't spend time on the Florida Realtors website, you probably need to spend time on the Florida Realtors website. If for nothing more than statistics, it's an amazing source of information and knowledge that you can take with you and that you can share with your customer. And that's going to make you look like a freaking rock star to your customer because you know exactly what is happening in the market today. You know what, and the more you do it, right, the more you keep up with statistics from 1 month to the next, to the next, to the quarter, to the quarter, to the year, to the year, to the year, right? Your brain begins just picking up those trends. Your brain will just automatically, and you're going to know right where your eyes need to go, and you will truly become that market expert. Without knowing statistics, in my opinion, it's going to be very hard to market yourself as a market expert. How can you? You don't even know what market we're in, right? You might know what homes are selling in the neighborhood that you're selling in. You might know what the average sales price in that neighborhood is, the median sales price or price per square foot, or this, you might be able to do an appraisal like CMA. But unless you know the statistics and how all of those numbers tie into the statistics, you're going to struggle to, in my opinion, you would struggle to convince me that you are a market expert, right? So what's in it for your clients, right? You're marketing yourself. You're telling everybody all these numbers. You even see people on social media and they're spitting out these numbers, right? And that's great, right? Again, trust but verify. As a licensed Florida real estate agent, member of Florida Realtors Association, you have access to all of this. Even your local association will give you access to these things. It's just a matter of where are we spending our time. But if you're full-time, active real estate agent, you should have some idea about these numbers, right? At least look at your county or the state, right? Maybe look at a city. I don't know. It's up to you, right? But what do most people ask, right? When you say, you're at a barbecue over the weekend, with friends and family, people from church, and a question that always comes up is, what do you do? Right? Well, you tell them what you are. I'm a real estate agent. Oh, how's the market? Right? What are the things that they want to know? Right? When you go into an appointment, what do these people, what do they want to know? I'm going to tell you my analysis after, I don't know how many years of selling homes, like 20, I think. I don't know, something like 20 years of selling homes, right? And I've sold a lot of homes because what we know is it doesn't matter how long you've had your license, it matters how many homes you've sold, right? Wouldn't be teaching this if I didn't sell a lot of homes, I think, right? The number one thing a seller wants to know is what's their home worth. The number one thing. When I walk into a listing appointment, I don't walk in there and tell them how great I am, how amazing I am. That's like the most boring yawn thing. I don't go in there and spit out my marketing plan and here's my 21-point marketing plan, and here's how we're going to do this, and here's how you want to know the road to looking like a new real estate agent is to walk in there and start doing that. Right? You know what I do? I walk in there and I wow them with how I came to the conclusion, my formula on how I came up with the number on what their house is worth. And then how that number coincides with local market statistics, right? And part of my number that I pull from the MLS, I'm looking in that neighborhood, or I'm looking at those comparable sales. But like I say, I'm not looking at price. I'm looking at price per square foot. And and I'm looking at medians and averages, right? Closed, pending, active. It all matters because some of this is value, some of this is price, right? But then I'm looking at average days on market, right? This house sat on this much, this house sat on this much. And then you can go in and you can go back to the Florida Realtors website and you can go pull hyper-local data, or maybe not so hyper-local, maybe you want to pull the whole city and show them this community compares to your zip code like this. This community compares to the entire city like this. In fact, I'm willing to bet that this community is one of the hottest communities in this city because your number of days on market are much lower on average than what the entire city is showing. So if we market this property correctly, or if we price this property correctly, rather, we should sell it pretty quick, right? Here you go. Can you do this? There are currently only 3.2 months of inventory in your neighborhood. Well-priced homes are selling quickly, and sellers continue to receive strong offers. Based on comparable sales and current buyer demand, pricing your home at $550 million gives you the best opportunity to maximize both interest and value. Can you do that when you walk into a listing appointment? You can't do it without doing your homework. You've got to do your homework. I'm a market expert. I'm a market expert. Are you a market expert or a marketing expert? It's not the same thing, right? I'm very good at getting on social media and telling people how great and how amazing I am, right? But can you back up what you say with facts and statistics? You should be able to, and it's very easy. When you get in the habit of doing it, pretty soon your brain just works in that direction. And when somebody says, what do you do? And I say, I'm a real estate agent, they say, oh, how's the market? Well, I'm glad you asked because we're currently standing in Pembroke Pines, Florida. And here's what I know about Pembroke Pines, Florida, right? Did you not just blow their mind? Are they not looking at you like, holy crap? They didn't ask you, what's your 21-point marketing plan when you sell a house? No. They want to know how the market is. You should know how the market is because this is what you do, right? If you sold metals, you should know about the copper and the aluminum and the gold and the silver. You should know about all the metals and the prices, right? Copper's up, right? Aluminum's up. Why, right? There's a shortage here. This is going on there. This is going on there. Same thing with homes. You sell homes. If you sell homes, you should know the numbers behind the sale. And if you don't, that's okay. Because it's very easy to find these numbers. And in the beginning, it is overwhelming, right? It is very, very overwhelming, right? But what about buyers? Buyers do the same thing, right? They want to know, is it the right time to buy, right? When you, if you don't do a CMA and you don't put this together for your buyer, at some point they may doubt, am I paying too much for this house? If you did the homework in the neighborhood with your CMA and you backed it with statistics, and you said, here's the statistics, they're going to feel good about it, right? They're going to feel really good about this. If you know that it's a slower selling neighborhood, or a slower, if you're looking at all the data and everything all comes in together, if you're looking at it, you should have a good idea. Can we be more aggressive with our offer? Maybe we could come in a little bit lower because homes are selling very slow in here. This house has been on the market for 198 days, right? Average home that sells in this market in this neighborhood is on the market for 250 days. right? The statistics are showing me similar numbers, right? They're showing me that actually prices are declining month over month. And actually, when I look at quarterly, the prices are declining quarter over quarter. Yeah, you know what? Looks like this market's trending down. We better get in front of the market with this and give an even lower offer, right? You've probably got the leverage to do it. Does that mean a seller knows this? No. Does that mean that the listing agent passed this information on to their customer? No. Does that mean you, as the buyer's agent, can't have this conversation with the listing agent? Because isn't it our job to negotiate? In our negotiations training we did like 2 years ago, something that always stuck with me. From a very long time ago. I used to study negotiating, right? Who wins negotiations? It's a very simple formula about who wins negotiations. The person who has the most data. If you have more facts and more data than the other side, then you're likely to win negotiations. If you don't have the facts, you don't have the data, and the other side has more facts and data than you, and I'm sure it's happened to me, right? The agent on the other side did his homework, right? The agent on the other side was talking circles around you about the sales and about everything that's going on, and you had no idea, and you're just like, by the end of it, you're just very confused, and there's, mathematical equations like floating around in the air, and you don't know where the hell you are. You're dizzy, you had to go take a nap, right? It happens, but you could be that agent. Just invest a little bit of time, right? Look here, can you do this? Right? Inventory has increased compared to last year, giving buyers more choices and greater negotiation power. While interest rates remain a factor, many sellers are offering concessions, creating opportunities that weren't available just a year ago. If you're at a barbecue and you tell somebody, you answer with that, how's the market? Well, you looking to buy? Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Well, here's what I have to tell you. And you answer with that, you sound like you might know what the heck you're talking about, right? You might even beat out the cousin who just got their real estate license that started showing them homes, right, a few days ago, right? Because they're going to look at you and be like, wow, you know your stuff. My cousin that just got their real estate license, they didn't even know where Andrews was. Just a thought, right? So where is the opportunity? And, we touched on this. Right, we touched on this, but the opportunity is being able to really kind of foresee, right? Because if you're looking at the past and you look far enough in the past, and you're looking at and you can kind of visualize that chart or that graph in your head, right? And you see it's been trending up for a while, it's been trending down for a while, it's been flat for a while, it's been whatever for a while, then you can really give very good, it's going to be the best advice you can give your customer. Is it going to be flawless, perfect? No. We might miss a detail, right? Nothing is 100% certain. Nothing as far as trying to predict the future, that's for sure. But if you're in a neighborhood and prices have been going up for the last, 7 out of 8 months, and you're coming into the 9th month and quarter over quarter, month over month, is it safe to assume probably the next month is going to be the same? Probably. Or did it hit the top and now it's about to come down? We don't know, right? We can't predict the future, but we can look at enough data in the past to help us give a good idea, or to have a good idea of where this is going, right? And if you can really read charts, maybe you can really figure it out. I don't know, right? But again, it's all about how you position your answer. And if you position your answer with real facts that you could actually back up, and you put those facts into a cohesive sentence, because that's the other thing, and we're not teaching you that today, right? We can't teach you how to speak well, but I will say part of being successful, especially in sales, is you better be able to speak well and convey a message. And one of the messages that we need to convey are stats and facts. We have to be able to convey that message to our customer, because that's the only way that we can give them any certainty that they might be making the right decision in choosing this home, or in listing and selling their house now, right? There is what did you see? Trend going up, 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 and then all of a sudden down, down, down. Seller is a good time to sell. Well, that depends, right? Last 3 months have been down. Looks like it's going to keep going down. If you don't sell today, can you live there for the next year or two? No, we can't. We got to be out of here in the next 6 months. Then you better put it on the market right now, because right now we're in a downtrend, and in this downtrend, we don't know how long this is going to go, right? And downtrend, you put it on the market right now. If it starts trending back up, well, you're going to pick up those gains anyway, right? But if it keeps going down, right, you going to ride the market all the way down, sell at the bottom? I mean, that's maybe how most people invest: buy high, sell low. But I don't think it's a winning strategy, right? So how did we get this, right? How do we get all of this, all of these numbers, all of these stats? And we're going to go over some stats briefly here, but this isn't a stats class. This is just to give you an idea, right? Because this is all at your fingertips. Florida Realtors right there, Sun Stats. Another really nice feature, it's just sidebar on this, and I think the agents in our office, they know, but MLS Advantage has all the listings that are in the state of Florida that are in one of the association websites. So if you've got customers that are maybe looking in Orlando, Tampa, I don't know, wherever else they go, right? Like, go to Florida Realtors, right? MLS Advantage, like it's not the most user-friendly platform. It's not really amazing. You couldn't really run your business out of it. But if you need to get an idea of what's going on over there, right? And if you want to take a trip up there and you want to go try to sell a house in Tampa or Orlando, you can. We're licensed in the state of Florida. We have access to the Florida contracts, right? The FAR bars, the FARs, like we have all of those contracts. CRISPs, it don't matter. We have access. You don't have to be a member of that association, that local association, to sell in that area. You just have to be a licensed real estate agent with your license hung at a brokerage, right? So we've had agents that have done it. Sold plenty of homes in Orlando, Tampa, other areas. And if you want to drive up there, for me, it better be worth it. Maybe take a bright line. I don't know. You can do it. But when you come in, if you click on Sun Stats, it's going to give you all kinds of options, man. Yeah, I mean, you could pull stats and data until you're blue in the face, and then you never know. Maybe you decide that you do want to be the market expert. Maybe you want to position yourself as the market expert, not just the marketing expert, which is great as well. When it comes time to sell a home, you better be good at marketing too, and a little bit of advertising, right? But being a market expert will help you stand out against the crowd. If you're up against, a handful of other real estate agents to get the job, if you can start dropping some stats, right? And all they did was tell the customer about their 21-point marketing plan, right? Or I sold this many homes in the last X month, and this is why I'm the best, and this is why I'm the greatest, and whatever else, and they succeed in just sounding arrogant, then you're the no-brainer. I know the numbers, man. I know the numbers. Like, when we go to negotiate, I'm going to get you the best deal because I know the numbers. Like, they can't beat us because I know the numbers. I know what this house should be. I'm going to do an expert CMA that's going to talk about the value versus the price, right? The days on market. We're going to compare it to the local statistics and even the not so local statistics. Right? When people watch the news, usually they're looking at the big news sources, right? Depending on your politics, might depend on where you watch it. I don't know. I don't care what you watch, but it's national, right? Do you think Illinois has the same real estate market as Florida, or California has the same as Florida, or Texas, or they're usually talking about national. And if they don't talk about national, they're usually talking about the state. Right? They don't really talk about the local, down to the county, down to the city, down to the zip. Right? And you might even find down to the neighborhood. Right? And then when you know what numbers to look at, you'll start seeing them in the MLS when you're doing your search. In fact, you can set up your single line display to give you some of these automatically. Right? Now it's house by house, and you got to do your own math, median, average, however you want to run it, but it'll give you these numbers. and then you can run it for that neighborhood. Now you've got the statistics for that neighborhood. That's powerful, man. Powerful. Knowledge is power, right? So let's look at let's look at Broward County. Just like I say, real quick. Don't want to bore you to death. I've been to statistics. I guess they're classes. They can get kind of boring, but you should know, right? And the big thing, and this is year over year, so this probably isn't real great data to go. I mean, you can quote year over year, right? But what I'd rather have is probably some month over month, quarter over quarter, right? Yeah, create an infographic. The nice thing about, and you can download these and you can post them, right? And the nice thing about these infographics right here is you can choose what data goes into this infographic. So what do you want to highlight? Right? What do you want to highlight when you're in here? What information do you want to grab and post it? And how hard is this? When you get good at it, it'll take you 5 minutes. If you're farming an area, you should definitely have this data at your fingertips. The city that you farm, right? Well, you got your neighborhood, right, or homes or whatever, but it should be the city, the zip, right? And then you should know month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year, because if you're farming, you better be a local expert. Got to be a local expert, right? But know how to pull these reports, right? Know how to pull these reports. And then when you go in, you can tell people, yeah, you know what, right now, we're in a buyer's market, but over the past 3 months, we've seen inventory continue to decline, right? And very soon, we're going to be in a balanced market. And that's going to be good news for you, right? We know that your house is going to take a little bit of work to get us to, to position you right, to get your house looking its best, so that we can, market this to as many people, and it's going to be as attractive and appealing to as many people as possible, right? But having this info it's really, really helpful. But and then when you get back and you're looking at your statistics, look at your change. Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Is it very close, like median percent of original list price? The change is 1.1%. I mean, it's something, but it's kind of negligible, right? It's not like, it's not a huge, whatever. But, active inventory down 22%. That's a big number. Closed sales up 3.2%. Right? Month supply of inventory down 23%. Oh, look, in Broward County, there's 4.5 months of inventory. What does that tell you? Right? We're transitioning to a balanced market. We're getting to a balanced market in Broward County. You should know these numbers because it was a buyer's market, right? Where we had townhouses and, oh yeah, that's the other thing. The previous slide was single-family homes. Look at townhouses and condos. Well, inventory is coming down. May of last year, they had 12.5 12 and a half months of inventory, which means if nobody listed another property for the next 12 and a half months, if nobody listed another property, it would take 12 and a half months to clear that inventory. Well, it's down 10.6. Still a buyer's market, but for how much longer? Right? For how long? Because we're seeing the single-family homes are starting to transition. The condos, they're moving in that same direction. You have someone that wants to sell. Is now a good time to sell? Well, I don't know. There's still 10 months of inventory in Broward County. Do you need to sell now, or can you wait another few months? Because I think the longer you wait, the more inventory is going to continue to come down. And what do we know? Price follows demand. While supply comes down, same number of buyers, demand goes up, price is going to go up. Right? The more you know. The more you know, right? What about Miami-Dade? I don't know. It's a whole other country. But here's what Miami. Look at single-family homes, 5.2 months of inventory. Came down 21% since last year. Right? Activate 4,599 single-family homes as of whenever this posted. Look, source, Florida Realtor, Sunstats. Pull your Sunstats, people. Oof. Look at Miami's condos and townhouses. Over a year still, 12.9, but it's down from 14 months. But what do we know just happened? Right? All that milestone and all the structural integrity reserve studies and, all that stuff really hit the condo market hard. But now it's mostly cleared, mostly done, right? You don't hear about it so much. And if you have a listing, you're not getting the calls, has all of the studies and the reports and all that. Do you have all of this? You don't hear about it as much. We still hear about it because there's still people that are traumatized from it because it's very traumatic. And I feel terrible for the condo owners that it didn't work out for everybody. And, some people, unfortunately, with lower income ended up losing their homes because of this whole thing. And I think that's very unfair. And, it is what it is, but that's just my opinion, right? But what about Palm Beach County? Similar, right? Look at Palm Beach County. 4 months. 4.1 months. Is it a buyer or seller market now? Right, down from 5.8. Was that a buyer or a seller's market? Big difference. Look at townhouses and condos. They're going to be a buyer's market pretty soon, I bet. Wouldn't you think? I think they're going to be a buyer's market pretty soon. Right? Closed sales. Year over year, they're up. Looking at all of these, the sales, the percentage, right? Look, the percentage, the median, the average, the volume, the time to contract. Time to contract is huge, right? Look, inventory went down, but it's taken a little bit longer to sell it. Why is that? I don't know. Figure it out. Right? Watch these statistics long enough, and then one day you're going to be looking at statistics, and you're going to go to bed, and your mind is going to work on that problem, like, why is this like this? I don't know. I can't figure it out. And your mind is going to work on that problem while you're sleeping. You're going to wake up, and you're going to have the answer. That's what our minds do anyway. The problems that we go to sleep with, our mind wants to work on them while we're sleeping. That's why sometimes you wake up. Sometimes it just takes a good night's rest. What about Port St. Lucie? Right? What's Port St. Lucie? Following that same trend, right? It's Southeast Florida, right? Although closed sales are down. They sold a little bit less homes, right? But inventory is also down, right? Sales price, I don't know, because the screen just moved way too fast, so I don't know what that is. But we'll figure it out later. We can pause it later and we'll look at it. Look at that, sales price, median sales price, same. Right? Average sales price, that went down. What's that tell you? Port St. Lucie might be slowing down a little bit. I don't know. That's for our Port St. Lucie agents to figure out. Right? What does this tell you? I don't know. Right? What about townhouses? Down from 12.1 to 8.6. Right? Their closed sales are up. Right? Median price still come down here. Average price came down. Why is Port St. Lucie unlike the other counties? Maybe new construction? I don't know. I know there's a lot of new construction going on up in Port St. Lucie, and I don't think most of that is reported to the local associations until that second owner is ready to come in, and the first owner puts it on the market, puts it in the MLS. Right? So what's the conclusion here? Right? These all tell a story. These numbers tell a story, and numbers, some people love numbers, they love math, like they love figuring these things out. Most, I think, don't. Most of us are like kind of sane and, don't like the pain of like staring at numbers and trying to figure things out. But if you take the time to interpret it, it's going to help you to speak more confidently in your appointments. And it's just like learning anything else. There's a learning curve that comes with it. There's a learning curve that comes with it. It's going to be very intimidating at first. And you're not going to know what numbers to look at and what to know and this and that. Print it out and take it with you on your appointment. It doesn't matter. You don't have to memorize this info. Just take it with you on the appointment. Do you memorize every sale and every, whatever in your CMA? No, you take it with you. Take this with you. And you can just look at it and say, here's the numbers. Here's what it is. That's okay. They'll respect that because you're probably the only agent that brought the statistics with you, right? Along with your amazing CMA, and that's great, right? At the end of the day, is it the right time to buy or sell? Should I sell my house today? Should I buy my house today? That's up to the individual. The market may not matter because nobody can time the market. Nobody can time the market. Just like stocks, just like crypto, real estate, it's the same thing. We don't always see it. Usually the bubble bursts and everything feels like it's just fine until all of a sudden it's just not fine, right? Or all of a sudden the bubble starts to inflate and we thought we had time and now we don't have time because prices are now, they're going up beyond us. The best time to buy or sell a house, the answer is always the same, in my opinion. The best time to buy or sell a house is when you're ready and able to buy and sell a house. Should I buy an investment property? Sure. If you can afford the carrying cost in case things go wrong, yeah, you should. But if you can't, if it's going to take every last penny that you have in order to buy a rental property, and if you miss 1 month of rent, all of a sudden everything else in your life goes into chaos because you can no longer afford, life's basic necessities, then no, you're not ready. Save for a little bit longer, right? Fund your reserves a little bit longer. But if your customer has the means and ability to buy a house, even if it feels like the top of the market, if they can get in that market and they can stay in that market, from my experience on this earth, prices are always moving up. Just depends on what timeline you're looking at. I made it. I survived through, the biggest crash, or a huge crash, 08 to 2012, to the boom, right? What was that, like 2020, 2021, like end of 2020, all the way through about sometime in 23, right? And now we're in excess of the highs of 07, 08. Took a long time to get in excess of it. It took about 15 years average to get beyond, right? To gain all those losses back, but they came back. And here they are. We're living in it right now. Is it going to crash again? I don't know. I know I had a customer all the way back in 2014. Been waiting for the next crash ever since. Still doesn't own a house. Imagine if he'd have bought something in 2014. From my knowledge, he's still a renter. Spoke with him not that long ago. And he still rents. Imagine how much net worth he missed out on by not purchasing, even though he was ready. He had the ability. You got to live somewhere. Was pre-approved, ready to go. But in 2014 was waiting for the next crash. Like, are you not kicking yourself now? Can't time the market. This is sage advice right here. I heard this from a financial advisor. This wasn't even real estate, but it applies to real estate. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Previous slide, best time to buy or sell a property is when you're ready to buy or sell a property because you can't time the market. Get in, get out, do what you're going to do, and get on to the next thing. Right? My opinion. Again, just my opinion. I didn't go to school for this. I don't have a degree in this, right? This is my experience, but I've been to a lot of seminars, been to a lot of conferences, paid for a lot of coaching, had a lot of coaches, done a lot of training, read a lot of statistics. I put the time in, believe me. I spent the money. I might have put myself through university just in all the crazy crap that I've done the first, 20 years of doing this. And I've lost a lot of money, right? And I've tried to time the markets. Can't do it. So what do you got to do? Number one, know the market. You want to be a market expert? Know the market. You got to know what's going on. You got to know where to find the data. Now you know. There's no excuse. If you don't know the market after this, there's no excuse. If you walk into a listing appointment and you don't know the statistics for that neighborhood, that zip code, that city, that county, the state, it's your fault. And if another agent walked in and they knew it, they probably have a higher likelihood of getting it, no matter how good your 21-point marketing plan is. Everybody talks about, when you go to these things, they always talk about the bulletproof 21-point marketing plan. Now, do you no good if the people don't think you know what's going on in the market, right? This is what converts. Knowing your numbers, doing your homework, that's what converts. Not only know it, but understand it. You have to understand it. If you can't explain it to a fifth grader, then go back and review it again. Until you can explain what you know to a fifth grader in a way that they understand what you said, then you don't fully understand it. Because the fifth grader has a pretty high level of comprehension. You just have to be able to give them the material. And educate your client. Talk about this to everybody. When you know it, brag about it. Oh my God, I was just looking at statistics today. Did you know that year over year, Broward County home prices have come down? I don't know, whatever the percentage is, right? Like, there might be a buyer in your presence, and the prices have gone up, but there might be a buyer in your presence that loves to hear that and like, wow, I've been thinking about buying. I'm glad you told me that I'm ready to go. Right? Like, you don't know who you're, talk about this everywhere. You're not being salesy, you're just giving numbers. You're just giving numbers, right? But there might be somebody in the presence. Instead of talking about, I'm the greatest agent in the world, I could sell anything. I sell ice cubes to Eskimos. They come in and they just buy it. I don't know how, I just got the magic words, right? It doesn't work. It just sounds arrogant. It sounds crazy, right? Put this out there. Nerd out a little bit. Number 4 is going to be easy then, because you're going to have the confidence behind what you're saying. And then you'll naturally become the trusted market expert. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for hearing me through. I hope this was helpful. I think it was. I think this is very important to know your numbers. It's going to take your professionalism to the next level. Now you know how to find it. And if you need help, if you don't know, please pop into the lobby room. As you all know, Irene is the Yoda of real estate. She is the Jedi Master of real estate. So believe me, whatever you need, she's going to help you solve that problem. If she can't, then I'm the second best person to call. Right? You guys can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. I'm always happy. If you know me long enough, you'll know that I don't lack words. I hope they're usually right. I think they are. I don't know. But we're here to support you. We want to see you succeed. We want to be that support system and your cheerleader to help you succeed. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions? Any questions about statistics or the market or anything like that? Any thoughts? Did we, is there a part of this training that that maybe skipped over something, and anything to add to the training? We're happy to learn. Let me check the chats, make sure there's nothing in there. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure what that message is, but I'm going to say okay. Good, we hit it all. Yes. So this was a class also in mastery on how to talk about statistics and not bore the crap out of your audience. All right, up next is our Beyond Real Estate Lunch and Learn. So if you were at the last one, we talked a lot about a CRM, how to use the CRM properly. We're going to do a kind of quick summary on that, answer some questions. Cheryl has been kind enough to allow us to use the conference room where she lives. Apparently it's very beautiful. So looking forward to this Beyond Real Estate session, because after we do the recap, we're gonna have some fun and start doing some phone calls. Right? I'm going to shake off the rust. And I'm happy to hear everybody's feedback on how I fail and mess up. But I think once I shake the rust off, it'll come off pretty quick. And let's see if we can set some appointments together. That's July 21st, so that's going to be next week, noon until 2 p.m. After that, it's going to be another roundtable mastermind session, August 4th. And then Ask the Broker, another elite training, August 11th. We may start veering a little bit outside of real estate, start talking about some life things, maybe some life coaching, starting to kind of move in that direction. But we are open. If there's any topic that you want us to teach, or even better, if you want to teach a topic, we will help you put the presentation together. We will help you put the slides together. If you're interested and you want to do this, we're taking that now as well. We want to extend the ability to do this to anybody that wants to do this. Right? If you want to teach, if you want to help, if you want to motivate people, then please reach out to us. It'll be a confidential conversation, and if it looks good, we'd love to have some agents in our office start sharing what knowledge they have and things that they're passionate about. So till then, that's all I have. Appreciate everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for bearing with us. I know we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but it's now 12:59 and we're out of here on time. So have a good one, everybody. Don't stay stuck.